What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 75 of To the Show We Go. I'm solo today. I have no Ed Hand, but I have actually a pretty special guest for me. We've had a few Missouri Tigers on the show so far through the 75 episodes. I think we've had about 3 Mizzou guys so far. And this is actually our second Mizzou left-hander that is Canadian. That's a very interesting coincidence there with him and Nathan Landry, who's a good friend of the show. But I have Ryan Magdic on today, and Ryan, I appreciate you hopping on. I know that I guessing Missouri is probably a little different for you. I know you kind of bounced around a little bit playing wise, but I wanted to see how are things going in Columbia.
Good, man. Enjoying being here, and I can't believe how quick the entire year is gone. So I've enjoyed it. It's been a blast over here.
That's something that I want to ask you about because I saw you're Canadian. I think you're Ontario. If I want to make sure I have that right. So you're a Canadian. You ended up at Mizzou after transferring in this past year. Um, how did the road lead you to where you were? I know it's probably a long story and it's probably pretty interesting, but like I guess how did the path lead you to Columbia, Missouri?
So I graduated in 2018 and took a couple visits to schools in Arizona. So I took like 4 visits. Ended up going to Cochise College. So I was there for a year and a half, and then the spring of 2020, COVID hit. So I didn't know. I was talking to a few Division I schools and didn't really know what was going to happen after the pandemic hit. So I ended up staying home that whole spring in 2020 and went another year of junior college. I went to Cisco, Texas, even smaller town than the one I was in before, if you can believe that. But yeah, so that was 2021 spring. That was the first year I actually kind of was I pitched a little bit and did the hitting thing. So, but after that, I went and played in a summer league in Florida in that summer of 21, and didn't have any offers. Didn't know what I was going to do. Kind of, you know, trying to figure the whole thing out, and ended up going to Division II in Florida, in Lakeland, Florida. So I was there for 2.5 years. I was hurt my second year I was there, and then I ended up hitting the portal in the fall of 23 with obviously a year left. And I was like, hey, see if we can go try the Division I route for 1 year. And, it's ended up working out, which has been the best thing I could have ever asked for, honestly.
So what was it like for you having to sit out the entire 2022 season? I feel like it's probably tougher, probably mentally than it was physically.
Yeah. I did. It was about a week or a couple days before the first series. We were going up to West Florida, and I was playing the outfield, and I threw a ball in, and something like popped in my back, and I was like, oh no. So I kind of from there didn't know what was going on really, and then I couldn't end up. I had some like nerve stuff. I would have this like shooting pain in my leg, and yeah, so it kind of ended up knocking me out for a good of like 14 weeks, and I actually got a chiropractor adjustment at the end of the year, and it ended up being my SI joint. So I had some like hip stuff out of place, and then I was fine to play in the summer. So I really missed that year for nothing, like technically, but in the end, I wouldn't have been able to play here. I would have been out of eligibility. So I guess everything works out how it works out.
Yeah, that is weird to think about that. It's like if you would have played then, you wouldn't be where you are right now, type thing. So
Exactly.
you can never play the what if game in life, man. It's a scary situation. But that leads me to my next thing though, because I was looking at a few. I was doing some digging, obviously, on you, and I didn't realize I was going to be talking to a guy who was raking at the plate, but now you're pitching at Mizzou. So, like in your previous stops in college, you were a hitter, and now you're pitching. So, um, I guess I'm curious to know like how you decided on being a pitcher now instead of hitting at the old places. So, like, I guess what led you to at Mizzou just being a pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, hitting, I hit from my freshman year on till my last year at Florida Southern, and I've always been a hitter, and and people always told me, you could try pitching and whatnot, and I was like, I never thought anything of it, so I just ended up falling back on it. Really, I didn't even think anything of it. So the competitive side of hitting, I feel like, is a lot different than pitching. You don't really control the at bats like you do as a pitcher, so. Um, at times you can get less confident being a hitter and all that type deal. So yeah, I ended up just falling back on the pitching thing. Nothing too crazy behind it, really. Just wanted another chance to compete, and at Florida Southern, I was kind of in and out of lineup. Even though I was hitting, and yeah, and just ended up falling back on the pitching thing.
So I want to get into as well. It's Carrick Jackson's first year at Mizzou, and it's obviously your first year as well. But how has Carrick been, I guess, with the team, and I guess what have been your takeaways on playing for him?
He's awesome. He gave me this opportunity to come in. He called me or in the middle of the fall in October, and said this might be a good fit for us, and he ultimately is the biggest part of it, and he's been great here. It's just first year for him at Mizzou, and it's been tough, I feel like, because there's just a lot of new guys that come in, and then there's old guys, and we're trying to figure out that whole thing as a team. But and you're playing in the SEC, so it's no really easy task for him to so we're trying to navigate some things, but he's been awesome. Good example for the team, and we have a lot of young guys on the team, and some older guys like me and Matt and Trev and all them. Like, we try to lead by example, and so does he. So it's that maturing thing, and he's like one of those coaches that is he's super down to earth, and he's been great for the program.
I've talked to a few Mizzou guys that are now playing professionally right now in the minors, and there's even a couple that are in the majors now. But have you experienced anything this year in regards to just being on campus or at the facility? Have you had any of the former Tigers come back? Have you had any? Because I've heard just in years past that some guys, like Tanner Houck would say that Max Scherzer would, come around every now and then in the off season and whatever it is. But have you had any experience with that?
I don't know if they did in the fall or not, because I wasn't here in the fall, obviously, but nobody in the spring has come around. Obviously the season and whatnot.
Yeah.
Minors and the majors. So, yeah, Pete just sent us some hats, I think. So he's been like, they've sent us some gifts and whatnot, which is awesome that they still, have that in the back of their head. Like, they think about the program. The program means a lot to them. So it's good to see that, but no, nothing of any alumni returning, which is, I mean, I would love that, but it's obviously a busy time.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were all playing, but it makes sense if you weren't there in the fall. I guess once the season wraps up in September of last year, I knew a couple of the guys that were hanging around Columbia for a little bit, but it makes sense if you weren't there.
Yeah.
I will say I was actually watching one of your outings, and it might have been your best outing of the season so far. It was the game in Athens, Georgia. You punched out 8 guys, and you looked damn near unhittable. Obviously, you had like the one blemish on there, but eight punch outs. That's not easy. Ton of swings and misses. What were you feeling that day? Like, what clicked for you in Georgia?
Man, just every time I go out there, just try to be competitive. That's what I always say. You got to. I always say that the mental part is harder than the physical part any day of the week. So. Just going out there and just trying to attack, really, and trusting my stuff. I feel like that's the biggest thing you really need, and that really dictates it. Because I remember we came up in the 9th inning, and there was a dude on third, and there was nobody out, and it was just like, just kind of bear down, take it pitch by pitch, at bat by at bat and try to just, throw my best stuff at him really. And, end up working in my favor, which was nice. A couple whatever calls that were close from the umpire that ended up in a single and then a double or whatnot. But yeah, overall it was pretty fun to say the least.
Is it challenging for you at all? Obviously, it's your first year in the SEC. Is it challenging to know like every single game you guys play in conference play is against a lineup that will probably have quite a few professionals on it? Like, does that ever kind of like, do you ever kind of think about it for a second? Be like, okay, like I'm facing Florida or LSU or whatever, and it's like these guys are going to be pros one day, and it's like you got to get up and go every single time you're out.
Yeah, I mean, like in Division II, you kind of go out there and being a hitter last year, I'm like, there's no reports, no whatever. You just go out there and you hit, and whatever they throw at you is what they throw at you. But here, from the pitching side and knowing that, like you said, you're going to face some guys that are going to be in the major leagues one day is crazy because who you're ultimately who's coming in that weekend. So it's you really just got to trust your stuff. And, in this league, you're going to get hit. Like it's just the simple part of it. You know what I mean? Unless you're throwing 100, so, you just got to attack the zone and establish, a couple pitches for strikes. And I mean, obviously easier said than done, but just, go out there and trust your stuff.
So it's your last year of eligibility in college. So have you had any thoughts yet in regards to like what's next for you? Like I know that the season's starting to get towards the end here of college baseball. And have you like had any thoughts on like what's next? Like have you had anybody kind of talk to you about, possibly, going professional or whatever it is that next up for you, if you even want to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly right now I'm trying to focus on. We have Auburn this weekend, and then we go to Mississippi State. So, I try to be like as much in the present as I can, especially for those starts coming up because they're big. Deciding whether we get into the tournament or not, really. And I don't know, man. Just kind of taking it day by day and not really worrying about the whole future. Of course, I'd love to play professionally. That'd be awesome. But just taking it day by day as for now.
All right, that was a test. You passed, so that was good. I don't got to send that to anybody at Mizzou now. So no, it's all good. I read somewhere though that you're a Rangers fan.
I mean, we grew up watching the Rangers when they were terrible, when they were really bad. So. When they blew a couple,
not a bandwagon guy.
No, not at all. When they blew 2 World Series in a row, 1 strike away in 2011, and yeah, my mom's best friend, she's grown up in Texas ever since she moved away from Canada. So she always brought us home stuff at Christmas time, like Rangers gear, and that's really why. So, and I was like, maybe I should start following the Rangers. I got enough friggin' sweaters and whatnot now. So, yeah.
And they won a World Series last year, so
look at that. Finally did something.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I was reading that because I was expecting you to, be a Blue Jays guy, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like that's Canada's team. That's everybody's team up there. But no, that was interesting. All right. I have an interesting segment that we're going to do probably here for this last half. I called a speed run. It usually takes longer than 5 minutes, so I'm going to start it now. It just depends on how much you give me on this, but they're just completely random questions. They're all over the board. You answer however you want, and it's usually pretty good. It's a chance to get to know you a little bit off the field, off the box score. That's kind of what I do on this. When I bring guys on, I kind of want to know things that I can't find out by just looking at a box score or a summary sheet on your on the Mizzou website. So
right.
Let's do this. All right. So I need to know what is your favorite movie of all time?
I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the classic, the Benchwarmers movie.
Just keeping it baseball, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I like Benchwarmers, but I've also been a fan of the Hangover series, so I like the Hangover too.
Yep. Nothing can beat the first, but I agree with you.
Yeah, Hangover's good.
All right, then let's switch to shows. What's the favorite show of all time?
I got into Suits last year. It was. I mean, there's like 9 seasons. But I didn't end up finishing it all, but I don't know. I kind of like the drama in and out of that show, which is really good.
That's next up on my list to start. I can't even tell you how many guys I've had on the show this offseason, like professional guys, and they were just like, I watch so much Suits, I could be arrested type thing, and I've had it on my list.
That's good. Yeah.
Expectations are high. I'm ready for it. All right, so if you had a walkout song this year, what would it be?
I got a Steve Miller Band song right now coming out of the bullpen, but the speakers at Mizzou like kind of don't really go over the crowd, so you can't really hear it. But yeah, it's called Jungle Love. I don't know if you've heard the song. It's kind of like a build-up song, which is really good. I feel like for coming out of the bullpen, and obviously I'm not coming out of the bullpen right now, but yeah, that's kind of what I've been rolling with.
I feel like we need to allocate some of that football money to, to the old stadium over there, man. It needs some help.
Exactly.
All right. You're a young guy, so this one might be tough for you. It's pretty tough. So I'm gonna say, let's just say by the age of 28. So tough question, a little in the future. You want to have accomplished what?
Um, definitely owning a house by then. Probably. I don't know if that's pretty general, but um, I don't know. Kind of maybe start a family. I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay,
As I said
fair.
before, I try not to think too far in the future, but yeah, maybe that, and maybe play some professional baseball at that point. Obviously.
See, I'm used to asking that question to guys that are in pro ball. So usually it's like they're in a little different spot. And I was kind of thinking to myself, it's like if I asked myself that question when I was a senior in college, I'd be like, I have no idea, man. Like just trying to get through graduation and trying to, all right,
Exactly.
cool. Um, do you watch a lot of like baseball, or you usually watch like MLB games and stuff like that?
Not too crazy. I used to more in high school. I used to watch, probably more basketball and baseball in high school, but nothing like here. We didn't like. I don't have any. We don't have a TV
Oh,
in our apartment, so that doesn't help. But yeah, I haven't really watched much sports this year, which is sad. But
yeah, all right, fine. I'm gonna edit this question a little bit. So if there was one rule change in the game of baseball, what would you want it to be?
I feel like everyone talks about the pitch clock being like if you're
That's
a
most,
pitcher,
yeah.
but I go at like 10 seconds, so I wouldn't really say the pitch clock. I don't know, like there's nothing. Yeah, maybe that rule because then there's rules with the batter and getting back in the box of that. So I think maybe some of the time clock stuff can throw off a hitter or a pitcher a little bit. But yeah, probably that.
I don't know if you're familiar with a pitcher from Canada named Nick Pivetta, um, but I covered his rehab start last week in AAA. I mean, he's coming back to the Red Sox, and he was very, very, very upset about the automatic strike zone in AAA. There's an ABS system, so it's like automatic balls and strikes. It's not the umpire, and he was not happy about it. So I feel like that's a very common answer as well. The ABS system is small strike zone, very, very small. If you try to nibble on the corners, it's not for you, and it's eating some guys alive. So that's in AAA right now. It's not trickling down yet, but that's it's a hell of a rule. Let's see here. Favorite athlete outside of baseball?
Man, probably like LeBron James. He's I don't know, he's pretty profound in sports, so I try to emulate some of the stuff he would do, and how he's had so much success over so many years playing in the league. So I feel like that's a good one to go with.
Nobody's gonna argue with that, man.
Yeah,
Could be the GOAT. You never know. Like he's still not even done. So
yeah, which is crazy. Yeah.
yeah. So Weirdest baseball superstition that you have or that you've seen a teammate have?
Um, I don't really have any like superstitions at all. Man, I'm trying to think. These are tough questions.
I get a lot of the same answer on this one from guys, especially pitchers. I've probably gotten, you put on the left sock before the right sock, and it's always got to be that way. Like, it's just like weird stuff like that. They're just like, I have to put the left one on. If I put the right one on first, I'm gonna pitch bad, like type thing. So
Yeah, I mean, some guys I know like don't even like eat the day before, like the day of the game. So that's a big one. I feel like a couple guys on our team do that. I don't know. Yeah, that's one that I've seen like make them feel sick or something before the game. But yeah,
man,
nothing crazy from my end, really.
you could be like Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills, where he makes himself throw up before every single game, and if he doesn't, he's not going to play well. So he's like, he's got to throw up. It's like insane. It's like you do that every single game. He suits up for it, but
That's crazy.
it's what works, man. I don't know. He's obviously playing well, so can't really knock it. All right, I'm going to keep the tough questions rolling here. I need a guilty pleasure of yours, so something that you enjoy doing a lot.
Honestly, just kind of spending time outside. Like, you want to, after coming home, you kind of want to just relax and be chill outside of the field. But for me, it's really just going and enjoying some sun, to be honest. Just sitting out on the deck. We got a nice deck here, and you know,
Fair
and
enough.
enjoying the rays. Yeah.
All right. I need, you obviously know what Mount Rushmore is. I need a Mount Rushmore. So your top 4 favorite fast food chains. It can be in no particular order. It can just be like, it doesn't have to be 1 through 4. It can just be like, I can't live without Zaxby's or whatever it is.
We don't have crazy fast food in Canada. We got like Tim Hortons and McDonald's. So I would say Chick-fil-A is up there. Got to be up there.
Do they have those in Canada?
I think they just put the first one in a couple of years ago into Toronto or something. So they got one now finally. But Chick-fil-A is definitely up there. I don't want to say I like tropical smoothie too. Tropical smoothie is good. We've been having like some of their pregame meals lately, and smoothies and the flatbread's good. I don't know if is IHOP a fast food?
I'll give that one to you. I'll count that.
IHOP. I like IHOP too. Little
IHOP solid.
$10 pancakes, eggs. You get the full 9 yards. And McDonald's, man. McDonald's for sure.
Can't hate on it. I am a little. Have you been to Zaxby's in Columbia yet?
Not yet. I've been to Slim Chickens.
Some Chickens is fine. That's good. I used to live at Brookside, right there, right by Slim Chickens. So I used to frequent that, and the Gumby's over there, the pizza place. All right, interesting. You gotta go to Zaxby's, man. That is my like. It's a fried chicken place. It's a little better than Chick-fil-A, but
yeah,
you gotta go try it. I think it's down by it's on University Boulevard. Gotta get down there. All right, let's do. What's the worst topping to put on a pizza?
Olives, hands down.
Thank the Lord.
Olives, hands down.
How many autographs have you signed in your young playing career so far?
Not much at Florida Southern, but since we've been here every Sunday, the fans come down to the field and we kind of interact and talk with them. So we've been signing every autographs like home Sundays.
What's the weirdest thing you've had to autograph?
I'm trying to think with this. Probably a shirt. Like they don't go too crazy with it, I feel like, but like a shirt, and it's hard to autograph a shirt. But
yeah,
nobody's done crazy.
Nobody's done like a live baby or anything like that, because that might be coming once you if you do go pro.
Yeah, maybe like Probably just like an arm, yeah, like or somebody's back or something.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
All right, I got a couple more. They're fine. We're a little bit food related on this, but do you have a go-to pregame snack that you like to have?
I mean, I usually, if I cook, I do like steak and some sort of carb like pasta. I love that. So I feel like it's just, leaves a good vibe going into that game, and that's the thing. But we've been, like I said, we've been having like wraps, or we've been having like we've gotten Chick-fil-A before the game. So nothing crazy, just as long as there's a protein and a carb in there, I'm all right.
So, last question of the speed run here. And it's really not part of the speed run, but I figured I'd ask because you've done a little bit of both. But what is the biggest challenge for you between switching between coming out of the bullpen and starting?
I think I would say mentally, it has been the biggest challenge, because you overall, you don't, coming out of the bullpen, it's like, okay, maybe an inning or two, and you kind of just throw everything you got. But starting, you kind of have to conserve a little bit of energy. I feel like you can't you know exert so much so fast. So if you want to go 4 or 5 innings, well, if you've never done it too. So I feel like that's been the biggest challenge, kind of managing what I have to do from that end, and just making sure I'm throwing everything for strikes.
Yeah, I feel like just covering guys throughout the minors, and you always see guys transition, from the bullpen to the starting rotation, and then they go back and forth, and it's just like they never have like a set role throughout the year. And I feel like I feel like people don't really realize that like what actually goes into it. And it's just like, I'm used to pitching every 5 days right now, or it's like I'm pitching like every couple days, but then I have to stretch out and then I have to wait. And it's just, I feel like guys take it differently. And I feel like a lot of fans don't really truly understand. It's like, it is complicated to switch between the two roles and not have like a solidified, like I'm going to start every 5 days, or I'm coming out of the bullpen, so I just got to stay ready type thing. So,
Mhm.
it's understated, man. All right. Well, that's all I had for you. I know I think you got practice this afternoon. So, and obviously you're finishing out the season, for old Mizzou to try to make it to the SEC tournament. So I'm hoping that that's going to be pretty successful there. But Ryan, I appreciate you hopping on. And before you go, I was just hoping, are you a Maple Leafs guy?
My dad was a Canadians fan, so we didn't like any Maple Leaf games going on. But yeah, that's besides the point.
Okay, fair enough. I'm actually heading to Ontario this next weekend, which I'm going to talk to you about once I hit the stop recording here. But Ryan, I appreciate you hopping on, man, giving us the time. Definitely good to talk to a guy that's at Mizzou right now, and that's on the way. And who knows what's next? You never know. Could be professional next this summer or what. But thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.